So I thought of Anton Chigurh in the sense of somebody that's scary but doesn't have to be overt. Their presence is just scary. It's just a veneer. The real genesis of it is, brotherhood, love, and like, what would you do in certain situations?
Hello, SideQuesters. Welcome to another episode of the SideQuest Book Club podcast. We have Marc Avery on with us today, and we're super excited to talk with him. And yeah, Marc, I just want to jump in with, you describe yourself as a legendary introvert, but as we're talking, you're talking about, or you did 30 book signings in a year, you're on a book tour, you were telling us about how you're killing it, how you killed it at the BookCon. So which is it?
It's like Batman and Bruce Wayne. When it's time to put the suit on, I don't have a problem. But then when I'm Bruce Wayne, I just want to be at home in my little mansion, which I don't have yet. But yeah, I mean, I'm just naturally just like an introvert. But I think when it's time to, get on the dance floor, then I have to, change.
I like
or,
that.
Get ready to work.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also, you add in the word legendary introvert. So yeah, I like that.
So I've been told,
So, Marc, one of the things you told us before the show is that your brother is your Yoda. I want to hear some stories like, is he your older brother, younger brother? Like, what makes him the Yoda? And tell us that story you told also just before we hit record, because that was a fun, like, I have siblings. Josh has siblings. Slava has siblings. Not everybody that we know has siblings, but like, there's that sibling like stuff. And sometimes it's like tenacious. And sometimes it's like, man, because I got an older brother. Slava knows him. He's right a lot. He never watches the show, so I can say that. You know what I mean? But I want to hear about your Yoda. Like, tell me about your family and why you call him your Yoda.
He knows everything. I can ask him anything. I can ask him any basketball stat. I can ask him any life question. He just knows. He's just very knowledgeable. Like, probably one of the smartest people that I know. He's my older brother. And I'm 6'3", he's 6'5", so we look like bodyguards. Like, it's weird. So we just walk together. Like, when my sister was alive, she would walk between us. It was hilarious. We were like cell phone bars. And he just has been, I don't remember life, right? Like, as far back as I remember him. Like, I can remember riding. I used to live in South Philly, so I can remember sitting on the handlebars and him riding me around. He got in trouble with my dad because he's like, why are you on the highway with your little brother on the like handlebars? I had fun. Like, it was great for me.
Sounds like fun.
He got in trouble. And he like, I'm serious. It was hilarious. Like, he really got in trouble for like riding me around on that bike. But I just always remember, the things that he would tell me. He's like the first person he's the first person that I would call like an entrepreneur. Like, he had his own apartment. He had girls. Like, I thought he was like the coolest dude ever. He went to Miami. I was like, how are you doing all this? And he was doing eBay at the time when eBay was first eBay. So he had like Michael Jordan cards, and he would selling this stuff, and people would, they would buy it. It was really a really booming, a booming business. And I went to military school. So when I was at school, I had to get like a phone card, and we would call. We had like a pay phone in my cottage. God, I'm old. And then we would I would call them, and we would go back and forth. We had like what is that called? Like a fantasy league. We would play and all those sorts of things. We email back and forth. So that entire time we always had that connection. And then once I got into publishing, he was right there. Even though we were navigating it at the same time, like in real time, he would offer all of his advice and stuff. So fast forward one time, I self-published my first 2 books many moons ago. And me and him went to Baltimore, and he had the idea that I should sell my books at the harbor, right? So we're standing out there, me and him, selling my books at the harbor. a tour bus, or not a tour bus, it looks like one of those big tour buses. It pulls up and these exchange students get off. And then they see us selling the books and they ask me for a picture. I am nobody. We take a picture with a bunch of exchange students. I wish I had that footage. It was the most random thing that has ever happened in my entire life.
That's so fun.
I was like, okay. So me and my brother are like standing there with the book with a bunch of exchange students. And then they just went off onto the harbor. I was like, did you? Okay. So later that day, after we sold there, we went to Mondawmin Mall. And we're in the mall doing the same thing. Security got wind of it and they start chasing us. So they chased us like through the main level. And then I think I hid in the salon, and I want to say he hid in like one of those like a retail store.
Yeah.
And then once we weren't getting chased no more, we left. So that was like one of the like greatest days ever. It was really, really fun. I think I had Popeyes that day, if I remember.
Committing crimes with your family. I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. But when I go to him, like I told you before, when I go to him and I complain about something, he always has like wisdom to bestow upon me. And I was getting really down about social media. Twitter was my arch nemesis. I could never find my footing on Twitter. I'm talking
Twitter's
about
hard.
Throughout the golden age. I didn't have any gold or any age.
Neither did I. If that's worth anything to you.
I'm talking about. I'm like I even got one time I got so desperate I posted something stupid. I don't even remember what I did, thinking that this will get engagement. 0. Then they started showing your views. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I gotta go.
Embarrassing, right? Go. Yeah, that's
74 views. I gotta go. So when he told me before I said I'm not going to do the social media anymore, he said, listen, you have a back catalog of stuff you've already posted. If you don't repurpose this stuff and just try again, if it doesn't work this time, go ahead. And then I started repurposing it on this new app called Threads, which in the beginning I wasn't so sure about, because I'm like, here we go. Here is another app that I can fail at because I'm so good at that. And maybe within 6 months, it took off. And I was like, you know what? There are no constraints here. I don't have to adhere to any policy. I can just say whatever the hell I want. Like I'm not gonna be like disrespectful. I'm not gonna be like, just I forget the word that I want to use, but like just over the top for no reason. I'm going to say all the things that I like to speak about or that interest me, and I don't necessarily have to have a polished video. I don't necessarily have to, you know what I mean? I don't have to record X, Y, and Z. I can just be unhinged as possible. And then everything, I'll tell you this, almost every piece of success that I have seen with discipline has been born off of Threads.
Well, so for the audience here, real quick, that's how I found you, right? Like I'm in the book sphere on Threads. I run our Threads account. I told the guys like, hey, this next season, I want us to start doing some indie author interviews because like there's just too many books for us to read, right? And so then I started seeing your stuff pop up, and I was like reading about your book and the stuff that you were doing, and I was like, oh man, this guy, I want him on the show. And so then I reached out to you, and I think it probably hit like one of those like second inboxes at first, because I think I had to ping you twice, which is fine. You're killing it on Threads. It's got 16,000 followers as of today, and it's just like the stuff that you're posting is just beautiful for engagement in the book community. It's like exactly so like the advice your brother gave you, your Yoda, sweet spot.
This is unfortunate, right? So there used to be this account that I would follow on Instagram, and I would say, man, I was asking myself, we post kind of similar content, but let's say he had, I don't know, 30,000 followers and I had 2,000. Instagram growth is glacial. Let me just put that out there. It is slow. It will not grow. You will get 2 followers and lose 37. I hate to say it.
I like that ratio.
It's terrible. So I was like, what I said, wow, what am I doing, wrong? I kept saying that. What am I doing wrong? Then one day I saw them, they had bashed another author. They had, let's see, how can I say this? Let's say they took the book of that author, tossed it in the air, and then hit it with a baseball bat, right? Kind of piling on with everybody else. So I unfriended that person. I've never seen their content ever again. That was 2 years ago. Never. I was like, wow, why did I even follow that bozo? You're just like everybody else. And
That's
when I
insane.
got to it, was I never see when I saw it. I was, but that's what people do. That type of engagement, I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in like that. They didn't know the author. They didn't know them. The only reason they did that is so their page could get
likes, engagement. Yeah.
And I was like, that was the day I stopped following them. They actually commented on something, and I just ignored it because I didn't even want an affiliation with them at all. But what I learned on Threads, I was like, the one thing you said, consistency, but just doing what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Every post that I make is a post that I want to make. Some of them work, some of them don't. Like, for instance, I had a post the other day do 700,000 views, right? And I'm like, why this post? What made this post any? But you know what it was? Threads showed it to Instagram. So people from Instagram were like sharing it, so then people come from Instagram back to Threads, and that's why that particular post did that. But yeah, I can be unhinged on Threads, and you know what? Too, it doesn't take that long to post. Like if you you've been on Instagram, right? Like if you go to Instagram and there's a picture, but under the caption's cut off. It feels like you have to do like
it's more
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instagram feels difficult. Absolutely. Have you tapped into trial reels at all? Have you seen any success there? I feel a story coming on. I feel a story. I can see it.
I would like to talk to Instagram, right? Like I know Threads is connected to Instagram and they're an entity. What was the genesis behind having me fail quietly? Like, what was it against me personally? Like, what we're gonna do is we're not gonna show this to we're gonna show this to a subsection of people that don't care. And I was like, I posted a video and it said your reel has 2+ likes. And I'm sitting there, Jonathan. I said, my reel has 2+ likes.
So
I go to Instagram.
Is 3 likes?
3.
Yeah.
And no comments. I said, okay. The trial reels have never this is going to sound like defeatist. I knew pretty early on that I was not going to take off on Instagram. I didn't have it. Like I didn't have the thing. Like once I saw a guy he did a very elaborate skit that like involved the car and him getting out the car while the car was moving. I was like, I don't have that. Right.
Ghost ride the whip, like, I guess.
Right. That's what he was doing. Right. So I was like, I don't have that. And I'm not a celebrity. I don't have either one of those things working in my favor. So if you ever go to Instagram, you can go today, and the first thing in your For You page will probably be someone that was on Instagram probably since 2010. So they have like this really built-in base of people, and I never really had that. And trial reels, the couple of times that I've tried it, they just totally went, nowhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I didn't do the right video, or maybe, I didn't do, I never could really get my hands on, and I've researched, I never could really get my hands on what works there. One caveat I will say is that I do like the collaboration posts.
Yes.
they've worked well for me because you're putting both of the people's gravity together.
Yeah.
But sometimes when I post on there, just like a regular post, it's very flat. And I guess at this point, Instagram serves two purposes. One, if I post there, it's just awareness that I exist. I guess it's three. I post because it's awareness that I exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a giant email, like you can contact me there. And then those collaboration posts, like where you can get the opportunity to be on the post like with somebody else. Because the other thing was that you can do ads, which I have not gotten into that much. But otherwise, it's very. I've had the same amount of followers on. I had the same amount of followers on Instagram for 10 years. It's never really went. It's never went above. I've never been above 2,500, and I had a post a few months ago where I gained 700 followers. So
do that again. Whatever you did there, do that again.
yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm getting like on Threads, let's say I'll get 150 followers on this particular post. And then you go to Instagram and it's like, you get -3 followers today. And I'm just like,
yeah,
what is happening on this site? Like, I've never been able to figure out Instagram, and then I never figured out Twitter. I tried Blue Sky too.
I have not even bothered trying Blue Sky.
There's no algorithm. So you're not even being discovered. What I thought I found on there was people are actively looking for you. But whereas on Threads, maybe it'll get to the people that it needs to get. Like I curate my timeline, so I always see something that I'm interested in, and somehow it's finding people. It's finding people that will be interested in what I'm doing. And you know what? A very underrated thing that people don't think about a lot. Being what do you call that when you're like first to something?
First mover, or like I know what word you're talking about. I think I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the example I give is I'm never the first, not to market, but like I'm never the first to something, right? So
Innovator,
Twitter came out, and
I'll think of the word. You keep talking.
I want to say Twitter came out in 2007. I think. Let's say it came out in 2006. Twitter came out in 2006. I didn't join it to 2009. Facebook, I think, came out in 2004. I didn't join it to 2010. Instagram came out in 2010. I didn't join it to 2014. I am always late to the party, right? So you have 3 years to build up your base. Yeah. I'm coming in late. I'm Threads was different. I joined on day one, right?
Good for you.
So now I get to experiment, see different algorithms and everything. If they have a new, I don't know, a new feature, I get it first, right? Because I've been there since day one. Now, if you go on Threads, you'll see like Angelina Jolie's on there,
yeah,
Michael J. Fox, because it's the number one app in the App Store.
Yeah, because the algorithm's so much better. You can get real reach without having to pay money for now.
For now. So I instead of saying what I was doing, I know what I was doing. My brother said, you can't be everywhere at once. You keep giving. If you have 100% pie, you keep trying to do 25% on Instagram, 25% on TikTok, 25% on there. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm probably just going to give 90% to Threads. That is my bread and butter. Every single thing that I can think of off the top of my head right now, all the myths of social media have been, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, have been busted by Threads, right? It was like, you can't sell books on social media. I've sold books. You can't build the news. I've built a newsletter. Like every myth that I've ever like fell into, like into the trap of believing was false, proven by this little app that I use every day, and I get everything that I need out of it. And TikTok also, it's a weird platform, right? Because I'm on there kind of, somebody was like, oh, just, put some videos on there. And it's okay. I think I had 3 videos that did really well, and I could kind of see through sales that those videos were pretty good on there. But again, that platform rewards tenacity, right? You have to post like 3 videos a day,
Oh
so the
yeah.
algorithm, yeah, right. You like, I think I post maybe one one video a day. So 3 is a lot. And again, that growth for me, like I did a test. Last year, I went to South Carolina. Everybody sleep, and I'm sitting in the kitchen and I'm listening to an audiobook. So I paused the audiobook and I said, you know what? I'm gonna randomly make a video right now, and I want to see what it does on TikTok. I hurried up and made a TikTok profile, and then I did the video, and the video did fairly well. That was August of the last year, right? We're coming up on August now again, right? I have 1,500 followers. Like that's glacial in today's social media. I'm like, I thought for sure maybe 3,000. So I said every day I say I'm sticking to threads. I know what I'm doing there. I know the people. I know the algorithm. I know what'll make people respond. I have my own rhythm. So I stopped getting mad that things were not working outside of just like in other places, and finally luckily found a place that works with how I like to do social media.
Yeah. But the thing is, your TikTok's like not terrible. You got 12,000 views here, 20,000 views there. Like you're 26,000 views. I'm skimming it real quick. But I hear what you're saying about the followers. Like it's such a difficult game because every platform's
It's glacial. You know what's messed up? So you on TikTok, if you go, let's say, I think one of my videos, let's just say, has got 20,000 views. You keep chasing the 20,000 view high. I had 9 straight videos. I had to count it. 9 straight videos that did not eclipse 500 views. You're like, okay, I got in front of this camera 9 times, and it was like, we don't really like this. So that's why I love my sanctuary of threads, because I'm like, I can kind of say the same thing, and then I'll see way more growth or way more interaction. And it's so immediate too, right? Because you can post something, you say something, boom, it's quick, and somebody responds, you can respond back,
Yeah.
Whereas if you go on TikTok, it's like, wait, did this person inbox you, or where's this box over? It's too much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I work in simplicity. So if I can figure out how this, I'm sorry, another underrated thing is Mark, my name is Marquise. And my brother named me too. But I never took the time to study any of these platforms, not one of them, except for Threads. I studied it. If I say this at this time, what's going to happen? One time I made a post, it got, let's say it got 91 views. I deleted it, reworded it, and it blew up.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you do a video, you sure don't want to delete the video and redo the video again. So you don't have to, you don't have to do it that way. So now it's like, this is almost mirrors how what I would imagine Twitter used to be. So, but I was never a Twitter darling. I'm talking about zero idea what to say. You know what I kept falling into? I don't have a book out, right? Now, not technically, but Discipline is out right now, right? I I just got the rights back to my first novel, right? So that's one. I have a new novel that is with my publisher. So that's two. So I have two kind of waiting, and then I have my current book. So my book has been out for the 27th of this month. It'll be a year, right? So even when my book is not new anymore, right? But it's always new to somebody that doesn't know me.
Right.
I still have in between stuff to say, and then you figure everything that I do or that happens to me, right? Whether it be positive or whether it be negative, is content. And I never thought about it in those terms. Like, wait a minute, that's content. Like today, like after I get off with you guys, I'm gonna be a moderator for an author event. And my administrative assistant is fired. Like fired. You hear what I'm talking about? They set this up at 9:45 a.m. to be with you guys, and I appreciate this, but they are so fired that this like I gotta do this, and then I gotta go be a moderator, which is cool. I'm really excited about it. But like all those things that you do subconsciously, you're not even realizing, but that is content. People are interested to see those sort of things, and I didn't know that years ago.
You should do a selfie right now for Threads that you're on the show with us.
You know what? That will see my phone is dead.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Here, I'll do it for you. I'll tag you. I got you.
But let's get a little bit into the book, because I want to talk about the book, and towards the end of the episode, I want to pick your brain about RoboCop. I can't say I'm a fanatic, but I enjoy those kind of movies, and maybe we enjoy them for the same reasons. But this book, Discipline, it's a little bit out of our wheelhouse in the sense that we don't read a lot of thrillers on the podcast. We mostly do sci-fi, speculative stuff, fantasy. We've done horror to some extent, thanks to me. So I read thrillers on my own, for my own self. But our audience, and who knows what they do, because I'm not in their personal lives, but you're the first thriller writer we had on. So if you can just set up, the genesis of the story, how you came to write it, the usual question authors get asked, like, how did this story come together?
So the seed of the story was planted when I first saw Bad Boys, which is my second favorite movie after RoboCop. Once Will Smith dove and saved Martin from getting hit by that car, that was it. It was crime fiction time.
Don't ever say I wasn't there for you.
And then once I grew older and started writing, I didn't actually start writing thrillers. And what happened was, I love cop dramas, so SVU, Miami Vice, any of Rush Hour. So I got a PhD in like cop dramas, so I love all of those sort of things. And I was like, you know what, I want my own set of cool detectives, and that was the bare bones of the story. I just want two cool detectives, right? No story, just two flashy detectives, right? So then they had to have an adversary, and I thought of, you guys see No Country for Old Men? So I thought of Anton Chigurh in the sense of somebody that's scary but doesn't have to be overt. Their presence is just scary. And when I was coming up with Discipline, still don't know how I came up with his name. He was a part of a gang, and he was a side character. And then I always joke and say that he took over the book kind of like Steve Urkel took over Family Matters. And once he became kind of the their adversary, was like, you know what, I think it would be really cool if we got insight into why people do the things that they do. Because I didn't want him to be like a cardboard cutout. I wanted him to have layers, right? Because you meet him, when you first meet him, he's 12, and then you progress, and he gets older, and you learn about why he does the things that he does. But I think more important though, right, is the crime fiction or the crime thriller, however you want to make that distinction, is just a veneer. The real genesis of it is, brotherhood, love, and like, what would you do in certain situations? Like if somebody harmed your loved one, how far would you go, to protect them? So I think that is underneath that veneer of the thriller. And I love the trope of the two detectives, because my detectives, one is young and one is older, and they clash. And although they don't like each other initially, they have to work together to apprehend discipline, which is the serial killer.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said what you said about discipline. We've talked to a few authors, and the theme that keeps popping up, and I'm so glad that it does, is their villains are more complex than just bad guy for bad guy's sakes. There's, I read like the first few paragraphs on Kindle preview of Discipline. So he's a little boy there at 12 years old in the beginning, and that's already, he's in a situation that is not good. So his genesis at 12, he comes from a rough past, let's put it, mildly, right? So that makes a villain so much more believable. And I've said this 100,000 times in this episode, is I like villains. I like a villain in a book, but only if they're written well. Like, and by well, I mean they're fleshed out. You can see, even if it's not explicitly stated, you can see, breadcrumbs of their villain origin story, so you understand why they do the things they do. You don't have to agree with them, right? Discipline does some horrific shit here to some people. You don't have to support him, like you don't have to cheer him on, but you understand that this guy was made. He didn't just come out of his mother's womb just being like, I'm going to be a murderer when I grow up, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm all for well written villains.
What's been cool during this process? So you can't tell people how to decipher your art, right? So these books are going to be standalones. So I'm writing the next one. You could read the next one and not have read Discipline, but will be caught up. I didn't want to force a purchase. Like, you have to get these two books. You can buy one of them and not buy the other one. But I love when readers find the Easter eggs, or they get what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Like quietly, like, of course nobody knows this while I'm writing it, but I'm like, I would hope that they find something to root for him for. And then when I get feedback, they'll say, man, he was a horrible person, but boy, did I understand why he did stuff. And that means more to me than anything, because that was what I hope people got from it. And when they do, it's great.
Yeah, because you want the story to be captivating, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, whether I'm talking to the audience or the three of you. You want it to be captivating. And, the buddy cop thing, sometimes it can be so just cliche, right? And some of those cliches are fun. Some of them are fun. But if you can use it as a vehicle to tell a deeper story, like you said, brotherhood, and the sense of protecting your family, if you could use a trope or something cliche but turn it into something interesting and be captivating, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because my my police captain doesn't yell. I've watched. I was very cognizant of, like, you know what? His name is Coswell, and I'm like, I don't want him to yell. He is very, they're always a couple of infractions from getting fired, but he's very stern. But he doesn't yell at them. That's not his disposition. So, but I don't have the yelling police captain.
This is one of my standard questions for authors we interview. How much of you is in any of the characters? Is one of the buddy cop partners or one of the cops more autobiographical, or is it some of the side characters? is any of you more than usual, because every book has an imprint of the author, but is any character more like you? Like, did you frame anybody after yourself in these books?
No, it's very, very minimal. Like maybe
Just the serial
how
killer.
right. So it's like, how specific is this book? And I'm like, I am not now, and never have or never will be in that serial killer. But it's like very minimal, right? Like, so like one of them knows how to cook. I know how to cook. I'm like, out of my brothers, I'm probably like the second best, I guess. And my little brother, he cooks way better than me. But like that, or how they speak to each other, just like very small preferences, but nothing like overtly me in them. Just my ideas, but very, very small things about them that they that I would say have come directly from me.
Well, as a fellow home cook, what's your go-to meal? What's your thing that you can just cook with 2 arms tied behind your back?
You know, if I see something, I'm visual. So if I see something, I can cook it. As long as I can see it, okay, this is what they use, I can definitely cook it. I like making baked macaroni and cheese. Of course, I love making my my tacos. I love them. And then any pasta dish. But I'm confident that I can, if I see it, I can make it.
We're gonna have
I
to
make
get
a
you
pretty
and Slava
mean
together.
birria tacos dish.
We're gonna
I
have to
love
get you
birria
and Slava together to do a cook-off for us.
I'm curious. You had mentioned, I think, making the hardest part was making time to write, and I mean, you obviously have a life going on. You're putting a lot of effort into threads and social media. Taco advocate, cooking like we were just talking about. When were you actually able to find time to write? Was it during lunch breaks? Yeah.
Man, there's always these little like intervals, right? Because rarely do I get the chance where it's like, okay, today I'm going to like allocate 3 straight hours of like this writing. Rarely do I get one of those days. It's always like, oh, I have 15 minutes here, or oh, I just got off work. Let me go and sit down, or oh, let me voice note this. It's always these little very small pockets of time. And what I didn't realize was, so I was on tour last year from May to December, and then I stopped and I really didn't stop, but it was the idea was going to be from January to May that I would kind of be able to do the writing thing. Then I did a meeting with a book club and like kind of pre-started the tour again, but I got a chance for the first time for like 2 straight weeks where I was able to like really knock out this new book. And that was like a new feeling for me because I'm always doing something. So what I'm trying to be better at now is like, I am taking this hour that I have and I won't be bothered by the outside world. I'm just going to, write for this hour. And then if I can do that 1 hour every day, like I'm just basically learning how to incorporate more writing time for myself because I don't even know how, but again, it took me 10 years to write discipline because I stopped, started, hated the book, hated it some more. And then, eventually got enough time to put it together and put it out. So I'm just getting better with giving myself time to write.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, man. Like 3 of us on this episode, and you're published, but have attempted to write a book, are attempting to write a book, and time management is unbelievable. So what I've learned, I don't do voice memos because I don't know why, but I buy myself little journals, and I will have like a scene, whether it comes from a dream or a daydream or it's prompted by something else. I will write down, hey, Ed goes to library and is what's the word I'm looking for? is all giddy about meeting the girl that's the only girl that's nice in class to him. That's a little bit of peek behind the curtain for my book, novella-ish. And so I have to write this down, and I have like 17 of these stupid little things that each have like 3 pieces of a story here, a scene here. But sitting down as somebody who works full time and has this podcast, which is like another full time job, sitting down to just write, it is monumental in its request for time.
Yes, I can agree. I can attest to that.
What would you tell people who are feeling the burden of writing, right? Like they want to write a book, they've kind of started, but they're in the middle of the slog, right? They haven't finished the first draft, but they're like, man, maybe I should give up on this.
I mean, as cliche as it sounds, man, you know, when you want something, you can't give up. You know, it has to be such a psychotic desire to make that thing happen, right? So I always say be intentional, right? And that can sound simplistic, right? But being intentional is carving out that time, because if you do, let's just say you did 20 minutes a day, I think of it like compound interest. And I used to lie to myself, right, and say, "Oh, I don't have any time." Nah, but I just watched these 2 Netflix shows, so that's like.
Why are you calling me out like this?
Like there's the time I'm like, you know what? If I just, because last night I watched Daredevil Born Again, last 2 episodes. That was almost 2 hours. So it's like, you know what? Maybe I watch 1 episode, right, for the 45 minutes that I was going to allocate to that next episode, and then watch that episode tomorrow. So it's just about being intentional and then being realistic about like what time you do have. And the time that you do have, all you can do is just use it to the best of your ability. That's all.
So you could say we need discipline.
There we go. That's boom.
So you told me a story. Oh, sorry, Slav, you got something?
Yeah, so I found the question that I was going to ask you, the one I fumbled over a little bit ago. When writing, because you mentioned something about discipline was a side character, and when writing, do you find yourself, being driven by the character to some extent? So you're writing discipline as a side character, or you're writing, whoever, and all of a sudden you come to a point and you're like, no, this is not what discipline or X would do. We need to change the last chapter or rewrite it, or they take you on the journey. Because I've talked to Mark Benson. He's another author, sci-fi guy, young adult. And he said he was writing this story where a woman and a man were supposed to kiss. And as he's setting up the kiss of these two, he's like, this is not working. Because she wouldn't do this. She wouldn't fall for this. She wouldn't be this quick to kiss a guy the way he wrote her in the previous chapters. So he scrapped it. Writing this book, which, discipline is this complex character, did he take you on a journey, as silly as that sounds? Or did you know, like, nope, this is what he does, and the only move you made, like, side character to main character? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm being a little bit awkward in my phrasing, but do you get what I'm trying to say?
No, I do, because he, because he was such a very small character. As I'm writing the book, it's like he naturally is the guy. And then as I'm going and as I'm writing the detectives, I'm like, what makes him a worthy opponent, right? Because like if you're watching a Marvel movie, right, Thanos only works because you think that he can beat the Avengers. If you don't think that Thanos can beat the Avengers, what are you watching the movie for, right? You're like, I don't know if they're gonna make it out of this one. So that was kind of my and I love to create the villains. So that was my thought process. Every time I would try to maybe create another adversary for them to battle against, he kept saying, I think I have a little bit more story. I think I have a little bit more background. So you are informed by the characters, because sometimes what will happen is I'll write a scene that I thought didn't fit. I'll give you a perfect example. So one of the detectives, there's a fight scene in a bathroom, and this was in the beginning of the novel, and I cut it. I was like, this doesn't work. But Discipline said it works for me. And all I did was take the detective off and put him in. That's how like certain scenes will inform other scenes where it's nothing magical happen. It's just like, you know what, that fits better with this character. And that's kind of how he kept it, because the book wasn't called Discipline. But again, we went through 30 different titles, right? It's like, I don't know if A Sunset Over Philly or whatever. And we could not come up with something. And it was like, he was like, hello, I'm the guy. And then was like, it was right there the whole time. And that's how we came up with the.
Yeah, so I saw your book cover. It's Discipline over Philly. Yeah, he's eclipsing Sunset or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it, like I'm thinking about it right now, I'm like, the title before was called A Recipe for Survival. And I always tell people, I was like, I got it. I finally got the title. And then I got the contract, and the contract said book to be named. And I was like, I don't got the title. So what? But now that you look at it and you're like, it couldn't be named anything else.
Right.
It was the perfect name.
Can we go down a rabbit trail here? Like, how difficult or not difficult was it for you to get your first publisher?
Man, so I'll tell you a quick story. So remember when I said that I self-published my first 2 books? So I self-published my first 2 books. I had a small publishing company. I published a few writers, and I was having a book signing. And I was in Hockessin, Delaware, at a place called the Hockessin Bookshelf. The lady that ran the store at the time, her name was Rebecca. It's a slow day, and we're sitting in there talking, and I was telling her, you know, I got this book. It was called Redemption Lost. And I said, you know what, I'm having a really tough time getting any attention. I ain't gotten, at this point, 100 rejections. And I said, you know what, I'm kind of tired of this. It's not fruitful. Mind you, the book is professionally edited at this point. I spent my own money. I commissioned the cover, right, and everything. She said, look, Mark, try one more time. If it doesn't work this time, then you can always self-publish because you self-published before. And I said, you know what? You're right. Maybe a few months later, I send my book to an agent who is my agent now. She rejected me years ago, but gave me a packet of stuff to help with my future querying. I sent the email to her and said, well, probably going to be self-publishing, so I'll just send this last email. Boop. And she got back to me, and she said, wow, this is pretty polished. Do you have any more? And I said, this must be someone else's email, because I'm sure that these are not the responses that's supposed to be happening for me. So I sent her the first 4 chapters, and then she said that she wanted to request the full manuscript. And I want to say once I did that, let's say a few weeks passed, and she said, I'm going to the meeting with the head of the publishing company, and I'll let you know how that goes. So I'm at Panera Bread, and I say, you know what? I don't really have it for a soup and a sandwich, so I'll just get a sandwich. So I'm up at the counter, and I get the phone call. She's like, we sold it, and I'm going to send you the details in the email. So I look at the email, and I see my advance, and I was like, you know what? Actually,
hell yeah,
to do the soup as well. So she did it, and I'm glad that we connected, because once I had polished the manuscript, I paid money out of my pocket, because I was like, what would make me stand out up from the thousands of writers that do this all the time? And that was the thing. So I signed that deal, and it did not go the way that in my head, did not go the way that I wanted to. I had a lot to learn. I thought that once I did this, I was where's the movie deal? You know, so I learned a lot about what not to do when launching a book or trying to get myself out there. And then what I didn't say is at the time that I was writing that book, I was writing Discipline, which wasn't called Discipline at the time. And I said, if somebody doesn't take that book that sold, maybe they would take this one. So we were trying to sell that book, and the company that I was with, they didn't take Discipline. So I was pretty bummed about that. And then my publisher, I found out about through a reviewer that I knew. They sent me an inbox. They said, "Hey, you may want to check this out." So I said, "No problem. I'll send it to my agent." Sent it to my agent, and we got another 2-book deal. And I was like, over the moon, because I had gotten rejected, so much, and it was I put out Redemption Lost in 2017. So it had been a really, really long time. You remember, I was ice cold from an interest standpoint. There's no threads at this time. So right when I signed the contract, like a few months after that, threads came. And then that's kind of how the journey with Discipline started. But to get from, because I worked at Barnes and Noble, and I would stock the shelves, and I would keep where AV would be, I would keep that slot open, like as if my book was there. And then my boss was like, "You have to fill the slot. You can't hold that slot open forever." So once I stopped working there, then I got in the deal, and then years later I was able to do signings there, and then my book was actually stocked in that part of the Barnes and Noble. But from conception to physical book cumulatively took 10 years.
I'm wondering if you could share your story that you were sharing with us before we hit record at BookCon, unexpectedly going there and hustling there.
When I got that message, and Alex is in there, she was like, "Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I'll go. I'll pay whatever. I'll walk there, like however I have to get there," because I had heard about how just how big an opportunity it can be. Then I looked at the list of authors, and I was like, "Wait a minute, Andy Ware's going to be there?" Like I'm like, because the first thing you think is, man, is there going to be enough oxygen? Like, because they're going to suck up a lot of oxygen. There's huge authors there. So me and my wife, we pull up, and I go across the street. There's 1,000 people in line, right? It's not even open yet. I'm like, okay, it's 8:01 in the morning. This is absolutely crazy. You get in, and I'm looking around, and you see the placards of the big authors, and it's like the empty space. And I was like, you know what? This is pretty cool. So I go, I leave. Like I told you guys, I had the best apricot Danish ever in the history of Danishes. And I go back over. Somehow the people tripled outside. I go back up to the floor, and it's pure pandemonium. Once I get to that corner, a lady comes up, and she says, "Hey, is this book for sale? Display book." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's for sale." So she reads it. "Okay, I want this." I was in trouble. "Hey, bring the box over." So I have the box behind my poster board. I keep a movie poster size front and back of my book cover. That's another thing that brings people to the table too. And I said, I'm right here with the major publishers, so there were lines going to my right and to my left. So there's going to be enough people. And I said, and I'm doing the math, and I'm like, I didn't bring enough books. So further, because I said, I messed up today. I did not ship enough books. And 45 minutes later, they were gone. And I was like, if I knew what I knew, if I knew today,
yeah,
I would have shipped 2 more cases.
Yeah.
But it was so many people And I understand like how people were like, oh, I didn't want to, I don't, this is kind of crazy because there's so many people. There's going to be more people than there are helpers. So it's always going to look disproportionate. Like, these people don't care, or why aren't they doing it? If that's a lot on them. I don't think they even anticipated it was going to be that many people. And even when you see the pictures of how many people were outside,
I saw the pictures. It's crazy.
yeah, it pales in comparison to when you're like, there's a lot of like, it was such a, what was cool about that? So I got calls from stores asking me to do book signings because they saw me at BookCon.
Serious?
So that alone, forget the sales.
Yeah.
That alone is worth, you never know who you're meeting. I was having a hard time getting my book into the library in Delaware. I'm at a book signing and I sell a book, and the lady's like, hey, I'm the head of libraries here. So if you ever want to get your book into the library,
You're like,
here's
I've been
my
trying.
I said, you're the head of the, and true to her word, I emailed her, and then she sent me a screenshot of where I am in the system. And I'm just like, see, that does not happen without action, right? Like, I had to do the thing where I had to go to the bookstore and attempt to sell.
Right.
And then that, person came in only because I made the decision to, go on tour at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know with these efforts, like what's going to pay off.
Well, as we wind down, I do want to come back to the question I said I would ask you is RoboCop, because I'll front load it, and we can discuss if we share the same sentiment. I like the satire of RoboCop. Yeah, it's a great action movie, all that stuff, but for a movie that gets shitted on for no reason whatsoever, it does have great social commentary. Like, so I your agreement then just confirms that I think we like it for the same reason.
it's the media break and like how the capitalism, it's so, when you weave it, that like Paul Verhoeven, he did like a great job of like interweaving that with the action and like him and his identity and the walking on the water. It's just so much, and then it's lean too. If I'm not mistaken, it's an hour and 41 minutes.
Yeah, so, it's very lean. Yeah.
There's no fat. And it's like when you get to the point when he says, nice shooting, son, what's your name? And he says Murphy.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy.
Do you know how many times I rewound that part? I watched the movie 1,000 times. I rewind that part every single time. Like, I don't know he's going to say his name is Murphy.
Yeah.
But he just puts the gun in the holster and walks off. And I'm just like, how did you make a perfect movie? Like, how did you do this thing? Like, I love it. It's like I think I've seen it. This is my father's fault. He had a tape of, I want to say it was Tales from the Crypt and RoboCop on the same VHS tape. At 10, I wasn't supposed to be watching either one of those things. I skipped, like, I guess it was at the end of Tales from the Crypt, so that ended, and then RoboCop came on. I'm just watching it, and I'm just like, he's a robot, but he's a guy? Sign me up for this. This is, wait a minute, he's shooting people. Oh, come on, this is great. So once, I watched it, and then as I grew older, I just had more of an appreciation for the nuances that I wouldn't catch when I was younger. But then that's how I grew to love that movie. And if I ever meet Peter Weller, like I have no idea what the hell I'm gonna do. Like, I have no clue. I was gonna fly to Seattle.
Really?
He was in Seattle, I think, last year. And had I known earlier, I would have flew to Seattle to see him.
I love the dedication.
I would. We go into the market. He was at a fan convention. That's in it, but I found out too late though.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you? Where can they pre-order your book, your next one, if it's like being listed yet? I don't know.
So I don't have I'm waiting, and you are going to see that when I get that pre-order link.
All right.
But
Bet.
I'm on all social media. My address is Threads now. I live on Threads. I am reluctantly on Instagram, and I am on TikTok as well, but I am primarily on Threads. I wanted to say one more thing. My mindset for this entire thing is I treat myself like I'm traditionally published. Like, what I mean is, there isn't anything in my mind, there isn't anything that a bigger author than me can do that I can't do. And I'll give you a quick example. So I wanted blurbs, right? But I couldn't get any. So I got one from my local newspaper. I got one from my Philly newspaper. And then I was able to reach out to some authors by building a personal relationship. And then I was able to get a few blurbs, because in the beginning I had none. So if you were to go to Amazon right now, I think I have like 5, but I had to work for those, because remember, what all I'm seeing is, the authors they're in Barnes and Nobles, and they have these blurbs, and they have X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, you know what? I want a blurb from the Minnesota Tribune Star. It's like, maybe I can't get the New York Times, but I can get my local, newspaper. And everything that I do is just compound interest. So when you see the threads, it's all interconnected, right? Because all of that is going to circle back to, my name is Marc Avery. I've written a book named Discipline, and it's nice to meet you. And that's the whole genesis of the thing.
Love it.
Well, Mark, thank you for your cooperation, and have a good night.
I love that. Thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it.